Binaka, my name is Carissa McKellar. I am a PS107 student, and today I'm going to be presenting on copying or coping, rethinking Bandura's experiment. So in today's presentation, I'm going to be touching on these topics of conversation. I'm going to take us through our objectives, our introduction, and then I have a few content slides that are going to go in depth of rethinking Bandura's experiment. So I have a quick recap of what the experiment was. For those of you that are not familiar with which experiment I'm referring to, this is the Bobo dolls experiment. And then we have beyond imitation that touches on emotional and environmental stress in children's aggression. Then the unconscious side of this. We also have aggression as an emotional release. And then we're going to finish off strong with our conclusion and references. So very quickly, the objective of this presentation and what I want my audience or viewers to learn today is I want you to be able to explain the main idea of Bandura's Bobo doll experiment. And I also want you to be able to analyze how emotional and environmental stress may have influenced children's aggression during this experiment as well. And then the last point I have here at the end of this lesson, I want you to be able to evaluate how the psychoanalytic view provides a deeper explanation beyond imitation. So it was just more than children absorbing the behavior they saw as they sat and watched the adults have an interaction with the Bobo dolls. If you're not following, that's fine. We're going to dive straight into this next slide that is going to take us through a quick recap of the experiment that I'm referencing. So the purpose of this experiment, if you can see, this is a Bobo doll, and this was one of the children. This was the image I found. And so the purpose of the experiment was to study if children learn aggression through observing adult behavior, right? And so the method that Bandura had used in this experiment is he had children watch an adult model either act aggressively toward a Bobo doll or behave non-aggressively. So there were, I believe there were 74 or 76 children. It was a controlled group, and they had different groups. So they had children who were exposed to the aggressive adult. They also had kids who were not exposed to the aggressive adult. So this is what the method means. So they will either children watched an adult model either act aggressively or not towards the Bobo doll. Yeah? So through observation, children exposed to aggressive models were more likely to imitate aggressive behavior. Children exposed to non-aggressive models were less aggressive. So that was the observation made by Bandura and his team. And the conclusion was aggression can be learned through observation and imitation, not just direct reinforcement. So that's just a brief, very brief recap of what experiment I'm referencing throughout my slides, yeah? So what I want to talk about today is how we can see this experiment from a different perspective, yeah? So we want to go beyond the imitation. Emotional and environmental stress in children's aggression. So very quickly, I just want to bring to your attention really that the children were initially, the control group, they were actually presented toys to play with, very fancy toys, right? And all of a sudden, the experimenters came and took the toys away, just to sort of ignite this frustration in kids, yeah? Kids were also, the children, they were in an unfamiliar environment. And as children, when you are in unfamiliar environment, you automatically become dysregulated. You're unsure of the environment around you. You're not sure where things are, you don't really feel at home, and you feel kind of out of place, yeah? So already experiencing frustration from the first interaction, I'll go back to that slide. Already feeling frustration from that first initial interaction, and then you're in an unfamiliar environment. And then you are surrounded by overwhelming power dynamics. By this, I mean you're surrounded by adults. When you're a kid or a child, you are surrounded by people older than you, and automatically you know there is a power dynamic there. The person who's older than you is obviously the person of authority. They have more dominance over you. So frustrated, unfamiliar environment, feeling uncomfortable, yeah? I apologize, the screen is touchscreen, but I hope you're following. Yeah, so you're already frustrated because you can't play with the toys. You're in an unfamiliar environment, you're feeling uneasy, you are surrounded by people who have more authority over you, and then you're witnessing aggression towards a Bobo doll. This will probably ignite all these feelings of confusion and anger in a child. So let's move on and let's analyze more from this perspective, yeah? So the unconscious side of children's aggression is children copy adult aggression without realizing it to protect themselves. So all these preconceived acts to get children to act on their aggression was actually the children copying aggression from other adults. And they don't realize that they're doing it to protect themselves from all this uncertainty that they had faced earlier on. So the second point I have here is their defense mechanism develops from feeling threatened by the aggressor to acting like them. So they feel threatened by the power dynamics around them, the adults that surround them. But still, they take all that anger, and instead of becoming the victim, they then become the aggressor. So aggression is an emotional release. Children take on aggression unconsciously as a mechanism to release emotional tension and dysregulation that they feel. Yeah? Showcasing that aggression is not only learned behavior, but also an emotional coping process. Because imagine being hit by all those stresses and not knowing how to regulate your system. So this is how children take on aggression and then unconsciously use it as a mechanism to release that emotional dysregulation they're feeling in the moment. So just to conclude, aggression is not just imitated from adults for children. You cannot just see an adult behaving a certain way and then automatically take on those traits. So emotional and environmental stresses can amplify dysregulated emotions in children. The situation builds, and this is how children take on anger, and then they unconsciously become the aggressor. Understanding how true aggression is absorbed by children requires us to look beyond just the observable behavior. We need to actually put more emphasis on emotional developmental, environmental, and the unconscious factors that aid or add to aggression. It's not just imitated, it's so much deeper than that. There's a real bigger picture to it all, yeah. So these are just my references. I referenced the Bandura experience, also Anna Freud, and this last paper, which is Albert Bandura's Experiments on Aggression Modeling Children, a Psychoanalytic Critique. So I just want to thank you guys for tuning in and watching this presentation that I have made, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I really hope that you've learned something from me today, and I hope that we were able to check off all my objectives as well for this lesson. And thank you so much. Have a good day.